Priscilla Misihairabwim Shonga. I'm a member of parliament for a constituency in Glenora. For a long time, people were uncomfortable raising it because of the cultural connotations around it. We have always grown up knowing that the issues around somebody having their first period or somebody having periods is something that you can't talk about publicly. We decided that the private is public, and within a human rights feminist context, everything that happens in the private in women's lives needs to be put within the public eye. So it has become a debate, and that has made a difference. The moment we went through the land problems, the land reform program, we then had situations where most of the companies, because most of the companies were agro-based, they literally operated on the basis of the things that were being produced from agriculture. And cotton was one area. Zimbabwe actually started going into serious economic decline. Like anything else, sanitary ware became a real issue. This country was the biggest grower of cotton, and that is not happening anymore. We have 85% unemployment in this country. So you literally have most companies having closed down. The one that most of the urban women use in this country is our newspapers. So they use the old newspapers, those that can access newspapers. Some of them will use cloth, old cloth, and wash it. But that again has its own problems, because you have to have soap and proper soap that is disinfected for you to then use it, which is what most of the women in rural communities are having to use. My understanding is that in certain circumstances they literally are using tree leaves. So if you get to the kind of trees in rural areas where the leaves are a bit bigger, you then make sure that you get 3 or 4 of them, and that's what you use for sanitary ware. It is a real problem. So women are literally using anything and everything that they can. You have a whole lot of women having infections because they are using things that cause infections anyway. So put HIV/AIDS to it, you literally have a health epidemic in this country, because the more women have infections, the more their chances are high of getting infected with HIV/AIDS. For a lot of male partners, they would assume that you have passed that vaginal thrush, not because it's coming from the kind of material or things that you are using, but that it is coming because you have other partners. The other problem that also has come to our attention is the effect this has got on the girl children in this country, in that because they can't afford to have sanitary wear, they would have to stay off school during the time that they're having their periods. So you almost have every month a situation where for 3, 5, 6 days, depending on how long one person takes when they are having their periods, most of these girl children are actually not attending school. If you're talking about a nation in which 80% of the people live under $1, under US $1 a month, what are you talking about? If you have 3 or 4 women in one household, you are talking about 4 by 4, you're talking about $20. We are hoping that we can begin to mobilize the world on the issue of sanitary ware in Zimbabwe, and if we can get containers and containers of sanitary ware, let the government of Zimbabwe deny those containers to come into this country, and we will know just how they feel about the plight of women in this country. This is where you need global alliances between women, so that the women that have these things in abundance can begin to understand that there are real problems in certain areas. You can have a country in political crisis, and people can talk about everything else. They can talk about human violations around white farmers. They can talk about human rights violations around unemployment. They can talk about human rights violations around a food crisis. And no one, not one person, will talk around issues of human rights violations around something as serious as issues of sanitary wear. So this is where we need those global alliances, so that even when people are talking about the political crisis in Zimbabwe, they do understand that that political crisis actually means what we are talking about right now, which is the issue that women cannot freely and openly and happily go for their monthly periods in this country.